After an explosive first game, we're headed already, believe it or not, into game number 2. Welcome back to the Intel Extreme Masters Taipei, our last stop of Season 9, before the World Championship occurs in just 6 weeks' time. 2 spots up for grabs today, or rather tomorrow, when the semi-finals and grand final will be completed. Let's check in with the bracket and show you what's happened so far. If you missed it, well, you probably blinked, because it was a fast series. 3-0, no less, for parting big boy from Yoey Flash Wolves, going through to the semi-finals ahead of his former teammate Classic. We'll move on to HyuN versus Life, which is next. And back on the desk is Susie, Kalaris, and Todd. What do we make of that first one then?
It was kind of good. I mean, yeah.
Kalaris comes straight in with the understatement of the day.
I couldn't really breathe too well at the end of the last one, but
I kind of got that from you. Yeah, Todd,
right.
as a Protoss professional, what was your professional opinion? It was a mess, wasn't it?
No,
it was a train wreck.
Every word I can think of is not suitable for broadcast, but basically it was very good. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
I loved it. I don't know about you guys. I had such a great time watching those games.
Yeah.
Being a Protoss and all.
Being a Protoss and all, you know.
Are you gonna proxy some porn nerds, Susie? They will know. Everybody watch this. They will be ready.
Yeah, go on the ladder this evening. That's all we're going to see. We're going to move on to a ZvZ next up, which I know our friend Kalaris enjoys these a lot. And it's 2 great players, HyuN and Life. Life, former winner, of course, of Intel Extreme Masters, so we'll start with him. Great form through the group stage, looked absolutely fine. Little quirks here and there. I think you could say he's got some small chinks in the armoury that maybe some other players can exploit. But is HyuN that player?
Yes, I would say so here. Okay. For me, HyuN cast a lot of his Zerg versus Zerg, and HyuN is the guy that, again, in a previous meta, in Roach exclusive previous meta, was one of the kings. He was one of the gods, and was able to do very, very well in that. I don't feel that HyuN is as adaptive a player as Life, and I don't think he's adapted to this current meta that we're seeing in Zerg versus Zerg as well as someone as Life is. So I think the meta as it stands and the way Zerg vs Zerg is currently playing out far favors Life compared to HyuN.
Okay, what are your thoughts on this matchup?
With Life's previous games so far in this tournament, I mean, the matchup is irrelevant. It's just been so overwhelming and so good overall. Like, it's funny because
#1 fanboy.
HyuN, no, I really like HyuN as well.
He's switching race after this.
I know.
HyuN is never happy with his opponents almost. Every time I see him, he's just cursing and saying his opponent's name. He's like, no, like I didn't want to play him. He's never happy. Somehow he made it so many times very far in tournaments and did well, but now he really seemed particularly unhappy about this one when I talked to him about it. Yeah,
which is unusual because he's okay with ZvZ usually. Played decently in the past. I don't know why he would particularly dislike it, other than the fact that, like you said, it's Life.
Yeah.
That's kind of funny because actually, as soon as he knew that he was playing Life yesterday, the entire, just a bunch of us were walking back, getting some food, and just like, okay, guys, this is it. I'm done after this. You know, I'm playing against Life, and my run ends here. Like, he was so down and about. We were like, no, don't worry, Life hasn't been practiced. He's like, yeah, well, I haven't really had space to practice either. When I talked to him this morning and I asked him, his face was really serious. And I said, you know, who do you think is going to make it? He was like, the only thing I'm focused right now is my game with Life. He goes, I don't care about any other game. It's this game with Life that really means something to him. Life, on the other hand, thinks he's going to win 3-0.
Shocker.
So standard Life things.
I said, what do you think? 3-0? He goes, 3-0, maybe 3-1, 3-0. And I went, okay, anything else you want to say? He goes, no.
Yeah,
that was about it.
He strikes me as the kind of guy that if you could win 3 to -1, that's what the score he would actually give you. He's that confident.
He win 4-0 in a best of 5.
Yeah.
But you know, you were totally right in saying that HyuN does normally, when he gets an opponent, kind of always complains about them, and then he does do well. So maybe that's like his way of psyching himself out.
Maybe. Yeah. Statistically, these 2 match up relatively well. It's only recently actually that Life's kind of pulled ahead. Up until the last 2. It was actually 12-11 to Life. So that would suggest that historically it was quite close. The problem is he's won 6 straight against HyuN without any reply. So that's kind of writing on the wall stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, it gives more rise to what I was saying earlier, with Life being, again, the more adaptive player and really kind of performing better now in this matchup as opposed to previous when HyuN was doing really, really well in it. And, I mean, Life's going all the way, guys, let's be honest. Life's going all the way. He's going to the final. He's probably going to win the tournament, in my opinion. So I don't think HyuN's going to be able to stop him.
Okay. Well, he needs to be unstoppable today to be able to do
Basically.
that. Last man to win an Intel Extreme Masters as a ZvZ player was Life in New York City in 2013. Do you think he can repeat it and go all the way?
Definitely, but I predicted Rain to win against Life in final, so I guess not.
No. Maybe not.
I'm going to stick to my prediction.
Your predictions are all over the place.
Fair enough.
You had Parting in the first game. You've got Life in the second game, though.
Yes.
So, and you're pretty confident with that. And the upper bracket seems to be I don't want to say easier, because it's a terrific bracket throughout, but if you look at the bottom half, it's much harder to kind of separate the four players than it is maybe on the top half. Is that fair? Yeah,
definitely. I feel like the matches in the bottom half are definitely more open. Anything could happen in the top half. I mean, I really don't see HyuN winning here. I'm sorry. I love you, HyuN, if you watch this. But
you know what, though? Now that you say that, with seeing Parting as he played yesterday and now in this previous game, I think if we have Parting versus Life up in that top bracket, as much as I think Life's going to do really, really well, I think Parting's happily going to present a surprise because he is Parting. So it'll be interesting to see. That I think that's harder for me to... Pardon?
I convinced you.
Partially. I think that's harder to decide now than it was for me yesterday, if it was to be a Parting versus Life in the semi.
All right, let me put this to you, because this is a common sports analogy. Do you think there's a danger here, and maybe something that can help HyuN, is that Life might be looking at this in a very, as Susie said, 3-0 fashion, and maybe there's a temptation there that he's already got one eye on Parting in the semis, and that might just throw him off his game in this game. Is that a possibility, or am I clutching at straws again?
I don't think it'll throw him off too much.
I don't think so
just
either.
Call me out. It's fine. If I'm clutching at those straws again, you have to play the Maynard card on me.
You know, I'm not even an analyst, and I can tell you, I don't even think, just knowing Life as, I'm not an expert by any means, but just knowing the player and just knowing Life, no, I don't think that matters at
From
all.
a player's point of view, have you ever done that in a tournament? Have you ever thought, I'm playing this guy, he's really easy, and then you've looked at the next round, who might I get in that?
And actually, I was going to disagree with these guys. Not just because I like to, but
always disagree.
no, because actually this time it's worth it. Like I really feel like Life is super sick. He's always very confident. I remember him back in Katowice. He really thought he was going to win it.
He did.
And then all of a sudden he kind of underperformed to some extent. Like he blew up some of his own bailings, and sometimes he has this series and these games where he plays far below his level, and you don't really know why. And then he busts out of the tournament, and everybody's sad. So if there is one way he would lose here, it would be through that. Like underperform out of nowhere and then lose, but the chances are very low for that to happen. It rarely happens, but it does sometimes.
I don't think it's happened for a while.
So we've got our friend from Taiwan is on the stage right now, just ready to introduce our two players onto the stage. HyuN and Life are on the way, of course, and while they're doing that, we'll continue to talk about these two players. It's a great, a great round of 8, as we've already said.
There he is. There's HyuN.
What do you think HyuN makes of this? I mean, he's been all around the world. We had to spider HyuN at Intel Extreme Masters in New York a couple of years ago, but I haven't seen that kind of spark in him over the last few days. Is that a more serious HyuN that's returned to Korea to play? Is it? What do you think? What do you think it is?
Well, when you're winning and when you're doing well, it's very easy to be happy because you're doing well. But when times gets tough, and the tough gets going, no, never mind.
So you're going to break out some big
when times are tough, it's very difficult, to stay happy, to have that all-around good mood. I mean, Classic was literally, demolished right there mentally, and HyuN might be the same here if he loses. This means so much to these guys, and right now, his only mindset is that he needs to win, and if he doesn't, he's going to be very, very sad.
I asked the gents on the desk in the previous match, how important is the first map to each of the players? And we all agreed that to Parting it probably doesn't matter, but to Classic it mattered a lot. He needed to win that first map if he was going to have any chance. Do you feel the same about HyuN in this one, that if he maybe loses the first map, it might just be the end of the game, and it might end up as a 3-0?
Yeah.
And likewise, do you think if he wins the first map, does he gain that confidence, and maybe Life kind of goes, wait, hang on, this wasn't the script, this isn't what's supposed to happen?
I think so, definitely, but only for HyuN. I don't think it matters at all for Life. Like, Life could lose 2 maps and he'd be like, YOLO, I'm just going to beat these guys, like, no problem.
No, you know what, that is actually perfect. That's exactly what I think of when I think of Life. It's YOLO. Life is YOLO. I guess that but in all sense, like, he doesn't really care who he's going to play against next. He's just like, remember yesterday he said you could throw anything at me and I'll be able to adapt to it. It doesn't really matter. And I just thought of it. We have probably the oldest player and the youngest player going up against each other right now. And HyuN, he does complain. He's a little bit of an old man when he's back there.
What do you say? Come on, defend us old
No,
people. What are you saying?
Actually, I'm the one who's been saying that too, because HyuN, he has this funny attitude where he's always screaming and shouting and stuff, and he sounds like one of those Korean ajashi, which means uncle, I believe.
It's just like an older guy, you know?
So what you're saying is he's a Korean version of you?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, but younger than me, though. Younger and wiser.
Not much, though.
But, you know, because of that, I think this means a lot to HyuN. He wants to win this. He knows that if he keeps not doing as well, then off to the army he goes, you know. That's basically where it is. Where for life, you know, he just started. He's so young, and he's got the world. You know, the world's his oyster at this point.
just started, and just a small matter of 8 titles to his name
that's
already.
all.
I think also it's a daunting task for HyuN in the sense that he's probably the weakest player coming into the round of 8, which is not too often to be said about a guy like HyuN, because the lineup is so stacked. So even if he were to transcend life here, then it would be kind of difficult from there on.
Wow.
KLRS.
I love
I didn't even mean that.
I love it. Love it.
It's okay, we got it anyway.
All right.
I'll tell you what, that Kalaris, he's unbelievable. Let's head over to our commentary team for game number 2 of the round of 8. It is a feisty ZvZ, which can mean only one thing. It's Maynard and Apollo.
That's exactly what it means, Red Eye. Welcome back, guys. Intel Extreme Masters in Taipei.
We're associated with the ZvZ for some reason now.
Well, I can see why I would be coming from Oceania and all.
That's true. And we did cast a lot of ZvZ in the open bracket, and we saw a lot of HyuN victories in the open bracket too. So he's undefeated so far in the tournament, but now he's come up against the real Zerg, the true Zerg.
The true Zerg, the big guy, the world champion. He's like he's the face. He should, instead of the Zerg symbol, it should be Life's face.
That's pretty much what it is right now.
Pretty much the guy.
It's almost not just the Zerg symbol, but the StarCraft symbol, because Life is StarCraft right now. He's playing unbelievable in the last couple of months. You know, he's won BlizzCon. He's entered 2015 like a champion. He's still in the top 16 for Star League, top 16 GSL, and he's continuing to dominate. He's his team's best player in Pro League. And to be honest, I think he's going to challenge for the title. I think he's going to the final this tournament.
I absolutely think he's going to the final to this tournament. I think he's actually going to be facing, well, my prediction at the beginning when I saw the brackets was that HyuN would be facing Life in the final, and that I would think that probably HyuN would beat Life. He's the only one that has recently, like, back and forth been sharing games and trading wins with Life. HyuN, however, I mean, they mentioned that he's a little bit grumbly and he wasn't too happy about meeting some of those extra Zergs, but he did 2-0. He 2-0'd Revival, he 2-0 check, 2-1 Snoot.
All right, 2-0 Sen. He's 4-0 so far in Zerg vs. Zerg.
Yes, but I tell you what, the top right here from Team Rocket, this is HyuN.
Very important tournament for HyuN. We've talked a little bit about how he isn't in GSL, how he isn't in Star League. Yeah. These international tournaments now are everything to him, considering he's not in WCS America anymore.
That's right. This guy's got a lot going for him on the other end. This is StarTale's Life.
The 8-time StarCraft 2 champion, sharing a very similar personality to Parting. And yes, he has opened up with a 10 pull here.
Yeah. He's not an aggressive personality like Parting, but he's certainly very smug and sure of himself. And rightfully so. You know what? If I was Life, I would be... I was thinking of some nice words, but I can't really think of anything right now. I would be a dick. Absolutely.
His personality shines through into his gameplay, that is for certain, and we're seeing that here with a 10 pull and then 10 gas as well. So with a 10 pull and 10 gas, he's going to be able to get the Zerglings across the map very, very fast. But there's one thing here. They've spawned in these vertical positions. The Overlord is already on its way to Life, but unfortunately, because of the rush speed of this, as good as it will be, he'll finally see it, but by the time he sees it, the Zerglings will pretty much be on his front door, so he can't adjust his build here. There's nothing he can really do. The one thing, look at this though, 15 hatch, 14 spawning pull. Pretty fast spawning pull following that hatchery.
At least he didn't get the gas before the spawning pool. That would definitely put him in a really, really rough spot here. I mean, it's already going to be pretty rough.
Yeah.
These are going to be speed, and a Baneling nest as well from Life. Oh my goodness, Apollo, this is going to be pretty rough for HyuN. I mean, you can defend with just minerals, but will the hatchery live?
Well, I think if he goes for the hatchery here, I think he'd be wasting a lot of time. He's got to go straight for the drones here. There's one small tell that was in this game, and I think HyuN might have seen it. There was a very small tell. His initial Overlord just saw the second Overlord of life coming out of his main base. If you just look at the minimap for a quick second before the action goes off, look where the second Overlord is HyuN is. It's by the Xel'Naga Tower. Why is Life's second Overlord just now leaving its base? This is a small tell for a good player. Spinecrawler starting without even seeing it because the hatchery doesn't know. That small tell is what he picked up on. Excellent play from HyuN.
Great pickup, and he sees the Baneling Nest as well. Drops that Spinecrawler at the very back of the mineral lines. He's lost one drone so far, but he got a good surround around the Lings. And his own Lings are coming out right now, so he's looking pretty good against the initial attack, but the 3 Banelings is what he really needs to look out for.
Whoa.
Oh, very close there.
He mustn't get hit by the Banelings.
Nice
He's already
trade
lost
so
2
far.
Zerglings.
Yeah, that was a good trade, 1 for 1 there with the Baneling. Lost the Zerglings to the other Zerglings, and when the Queens come out, this will get a little bit easier, but Life is going for the throat here.
Remember, there's a Spinecrawler coming as well.
Yeah,
This isn't going to be as easy as Life may think it will be.
HyuN actually looks really good right now.
Great block with the Queen in between the spawning pool and hatchery.
That's right, and he's target firing the Banelings, the Zerglings of HyuN, trying to hold back. The Banelings got so close there to detonating on the Zerglings. They're going for the mineral line. The Zerglings are getting in there. The drones can only do damage. They can't kill. The Lings will have to finish them off, but it looks like HyuN's held here.
This is a wonderful hold. Absolutely wonderful hold.
About as good as it gets.
The micro is on point. A lot of players make mistakes. It's the first game on stage today. It's the first game of the day for these players, pretty much, apart from some warm-up games, but that was a perfect hold. And now he's 2 hatcheries ahead. He's got Queens, he's got a Spinecrawler, and he knows there's no hatchery from his opponent on the other side of the map.
Yeah.
All he's got to do is just nail the follow-up, which is make sure what Life's going to do next is going to be held easily. So make a wall. Start to creep spread. Evolution chambers, just focus on drones. Don't even think about gas, in my opinion. Just drones, minerals, more Queens, make a wall, Spinecrawler up another one if you need to, and you're going to be good.
Exactly. Get further ahead. Get that lava up. Get the macro up so that you can just power ahead of your opponent in sheer numbers. It's a much safer way to win than going for tech options.
Yeah, follow-up scout here sees Zergling speed on the way, excuse me.
Yep, and the Baneling Nest obviously knows all about that, having to deal with them a little bit earlier.
Yeah, second spine starting. And that's what he needs, just additional mineral-only units and structures.
Yeah. I mean, that's exactly what he's worried about here after seeing that wiggling spawning pool. Will Life, having seen this, follow up with a Ling Flood? Okay, he cancels that spine.
Yeah, he decided to cancel it, thinking that he's going to be okay without the second spine here. Obviously, when you build the second spine, you're losing a drone, therefore losing a bit of economy doing so.
Yeah.
And I guess it depends. Does Life want to follow it with aggression? Because if HyuN overcommits to defense when it is pure drones coming out from Life, technically Life can start to catch up.
Yeah, absolutely. HyuN's got that block there. Speedlings, always a danger, but HyuN can see that there's only a small cluster here.
So if you look at HyuN's Overlords on the other side of the map, if there were to be a flood of Zerglings, he'd see it, and it's a pretty big map, Deadwing.
Yes.
So if he saw it here, where we're looking at currently, he would have enough time to start a wall with structures, and he's got a Spinecrawler and Queens around for transfuses and just kind of protection anyway. So I really feel that HyuN has made the right choices. He started well with his micro. His decision-making has been very precise and very accurate as well.
He lost one drone to the Speedlings there. Decent pick off for Life. Any bit of economic damage he can do here is nice, but he is still behind in that econ. Getting a couple more drones and just losing the Lings.
And currently, the world champion is pushing his way to a loss in this game. He needs to do something drastic to turn this around. 40 drones for HyuN, only just 29 for Life.
So Life's going to try and turn this around by powering the economy here, going for a pretty quick third hatchery. Not a quick third hatchery, but based on what he's seeing, he's going to try and get ahead of HyuN in economy. But
HyuN can stop droning from this point. He's reached pretty much the minimal amount of 2 base saturation. He's at 44 drones, which is very comfortable income for minerals and gas. If he was to power up pure units very, very shortly, he could just nail down that third with a very powerful attack, especially if he works around those 1-1 upgrades, which he has a major advantage over Life on.
If he hits with like 12 or so roaches with a 1-1, it's going to be extremely tough for Life, especially since he's putting his minerals into his economy right now.
Yeah, and I think the unit production's about to begin. 2 Overlords in production for HyuN. He's opening up his supply now. 3 Overlords, 4 Overlords. He's only built 1 roach because he wants to spend money on opening the supply, and then he's going to flood. I would imagine with roaches, it's not necessarily a must-do, but it's a way to just go over and kill off Life.
Yeah, I'm expecting roach speed there. There it is, and the roaches are starting to come out for HyuN, 4 apiece. Doesn't quite have that lava build-up just yet, but they will be popping very shortly. And the third hat-trick for Life about to go up. He's going for the upgrades as well, but obviously a fair way behind HyuN.
Even though Life hasn't scouted what's going on in this game, you know that your third base has been scouted, and if I can tell what the best way to deal with that third base is, Life is going to tell what the best way to deal with that third base is. So I'm interested to see how Life is going to try to defend this. He's on minimal amounts of drones. He's only on 43 compared to 50 of HyuN, and he's already started his unit production. He knows his attack is coming, but because of the deficit he put himself in, because his attack early didn't work, no matter how good and how much he sets himself up for this, I don't think it's going to be possible to hold it.
It might just, like I said earlier in the cast, it's a bit, when you can make the game about the numbers and just have too much for your opponent, take the skill out of the equation, just send too much for him to handle at him, that's just the best way to win. It's the most safe way to win.
He's going to have the high ground. He's going to have a better spread of units and queens in support here. Those are the advantages he has fighting from this position.
Yeah, definitely. The high ground here, the launch pad, as Snood likes to call it. He has that creep as well to springboard off against those roaches, but these roaches will have speed, Apollo, so they can easily engage and disengage from the fight as well without taking too many losses.
HyuN will want to be like a wrecking ball. He'll want to go up this ramp and just bang and get right up close because he's got roach speed.
Yeah, but will Life be riding that wrecking ball? We'll see. Coming through. He's got a concave here on the bottom. Life starting to solidify at the top here. The Queen helping quite a bit. The Roaches pushing through. They do have that 1-1. He is hitting with speed as well. The Queens of HyuN coming down as well. So he's going to commit a little bit to this.
Yeah, Transfuses
going
from
down.
behind.
Yeah, helping out a lot. And Life, I mean, he has that third hatchery with the extra bit of lava and the defender's advantage, but these transfuses from HyuN, he has a lot of transfuses left still. Two more on the Queens, and he's pushing through here at Apollo. This is just overwhelming for Life. GG. HyuN gets game number 1. Against the world champ, no less.
He finishes him off after a perfect defense against that early build that we saw coming out from Life. And you've got to credit a couple of things there to HyuN. His build, yes, he did go hatchery first, but it was a 14 spawning pool, which did allow Spinecrawler, Queen, and Lynx to be built a couple of seconds earlier than they would do if it was a later spawning pool. That assisted in the defense. And of course, he was able to pick up on scouting information in the early game to know that this attack was happening, and he was prepared and really ready to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. So before we get into game number 2 between these incredible heavyweights from the Zerg race, we'll have a short break for a minute and a half, and then we'll be back to cast game number 2 of Life and HyuN. G'day StarCraft fans, welcome back. Game number 2 between HyuN and Life about to kick off Apollo. And I gotta say, I mean, the last time these guys faced, it was a straight clean sweep. Life 4-0. But HyuN's already got
He's already got
the edge. He's already got the edge
to his name, and Life's had a very, pretty much a perfect tournament so far with his games earlier on, the 2-0 versus 4GG, and then the followed up 2-0 versus Soulkey, and it looked easy for him, and he was looking great. He's suffered his first loss in this tournament now versus HyuN, who, as we did mention, is 4-0 in Zerg versus Zergs in this tournament, and the Zergs he's beaten are pretty well off. They're very good players.
Absolutely.
And we'll see which way this is going to go. This next map, very important here for Life. Cannot afford to drop this. That would be disastrous going down 0-2.
No, and how's Life going to feel being down 2 maps, being a guy that's generally the guy that's up 2 maps at this point of the best of 3? So this is probably not very comfortable waters for the for the world champion here on the top right here from Team Roccat, winning that first game with a great roach timing. This is HyuN. And in the bottom left, the greatest player from StarTale, Yoi Flash Wolves, the BlizzCon champion. This is Life.
All right, so we're entering the very first stage of Zerg versus Zerg, and I was actually, because we knew we were going to commentate this Zerg versus Zerg today, I dreamt about Zerg versus Zerg last night and the different segments that there are within Zerg versus Zerg, and we're entering the first part of it right now. There's about 4 parts of it that really stand out the most above the rest. The very first part is, what builds do they choose to try to gain an advantage over the other player? Because 15 hatch is slightly better than spawning pool first. 9 spawning pool can be good against hatchery first, for example. So there's a lot of build order advantages that the players can gain. So far, they've gone up to 15 workers each. And we see that HyuN is playing a little bit more cautious after going up 1-0 here, and is going to go for the 15 spawning pool. So if Life had gone for an early spawning pool again, HyuN would be looking pretty good, and it's actually followed up by a pretty fast extractor here. So it's going to be a hatchery that's coming down, but he's going to have a heightened Zergling speed in this game that you don't see very often.
This is such a Wings of Liberty thing to see that Speedling expand, which it looks like HyuN's doing right now.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it for a very long time, Apollo, but it is kind of coming back a little bit. I mean, with the new maps, very 2-basey. I mean, these last 2 maps have been from the previous map pool, and that's all well and good, but this is the metagame right now in ZvZ.
Yeah.
It's starting to shift. There's a change in the air, and Life is going for the much more standard and as greedy as possible hatchery, gas, then pool. But, and I feel like Life's going to be a lot more comfortable in this situation with the extra greed, because he is a macro monster. He'll be completely fine in with this kind of opening. And HyuN, opening safe. I mean, he did get 10 pulled in the last game, so I wouldn't be surprised. I would have as well.
We've got to really see what HyuN has planned with the early gas that he's gone for here. What type of aggressive play, because you don't really play like this if you're looking to play more passive. You'd open up gasless, or even something that Life has chosen.
I mean, generally when you're Speedling expanded, that means you're going to make what, Apollo? You're going to make Speedlings.
You're going to make a lot of Speedlings.
You're going to make a lot of them. That's
and
right.
usually to follow that is a Bailing Nest too. But we can see that he's taken out a gas. And with an early spawning pool, he can deny the Overlord from getting in. I'm starting to build an image of what we could see from HyuN. If he can deny the scout of the Overlord, which he naturally should do because he's got the spawning pool first, and can deny any Lings from getting inside his base, he could build up a flood of Zerglings and just overwhelm.
Yeah, and this has definitely clinched some pretty easy and fast wins for a lot of Zergs on the ladder. You hide that cluster of Lings, you use that fast Queen to shoo away the Overlord. He's not in this case, though. The Overlord of Life is still parked around that ramp that he'll no doubt be taking. He's only sending the 2 out for now.
So I'm very interested to see. There's
6 more on the way.
6 more on the way already. So we're starting to see that climb up. Will it be more than that? I have a feeling it's going to be.
Oh, the micro. So sick from Life.
10 more on the way now. This is building up for a big attack. And the thing is, Life has not got a Bailing speed. He's taken a drone out of gas. And, I mean, he's taken multiple drones out of gas. So he's only just about to reach 50, which means the Bailing nest has to come down and then Bailings to be built on top of that. And here comes the deny of the scout.
And the scout has been denied. But I think he just saw those 2 Lings there.
6 Lings are being built by Life in a Bailing nest. The 2 Lings gave it up.
Exactly.
18
and
Lings coming in for Life.
Life is as prepared as he could possibly be. Great tell, great read from Life. HyuN moving across the maps. Cancel the 3rd, obviously.
Yeah, and I think he knows that this isn't going to work as well. He's built quite a few Lings, but he's falled back to drones here. Unfortunately, he gave that away.
Now, there is a counterattack potential from Life because he has the Bailing Nest on the way. He could pressure HyuN after this attack. It doesn't look like HyuN's going to get too much done here with the amount of Lings from Life. Speed being done for Life as well. Oh, he's overwhelming with this micro here. He's actually got a good surround on those Lings. Took quite a few out before retreating.
Very tense couple of moments here in the early stages of this Zerg versus Zerg, but we are going to fall back to a slower game from this point. With both having a Bailing Nest out and both having Zerglings out, it's very difficult to break your opponent when you have the same units, especially trying to break a defensive player with Queens and a potential Spine Crawler. So we should technically move on to the next part of this game.
Yeah, definitely looks like it. A couple more Bailings going up for HyuN, but it looks like they're just defensive. It's just going to hold the ramp. Oh man, the amount of times I played Zerg vs Zerg when those two Bailings right on top of the ramp bursted right in my face. Always going to pick up a Queen. Maybe he needs to be very careful.
Yeah, he does not want to lose that Queen.
Very close to losing that, in fact, but she does live to fight another day and for a few more injections at least.
All right, HyuN.
And it looks like...
Yeah, he's forced out 20 Lings by... I mean, Life has forced out 20 Lings there because it was a little bit scary. So there's a lot of units out. that we could see HyuN go to the other side of the map with as well.
That's right. Life getting the lair, 4 gases. Mutalisks on the way for the world champ. HyuN as well getting his gases, but only up to 3. And dropping a Roach Warren instead.
Dropping a Roach Warren. Very interesting. You'd expect to see the lair come into play now. I wonder if he's 2 Overlords coming in here, Maynard.
Life just made 22 Zerglings, Apollo. He's still making, there's 18 Zerglings on the way.
HyuN has seen the 3rd base, and he's also seen the lair. He's going to try to break this down. He's going to try and bust this.
Yeah, he's going to go for a time before Mutalisks become a problem here.
Yeah, he's going to go Roach Baneling.
A big engagement here at the front. A couple of Banelings looking for those sweet, juicy connections, but haven't quite got them just yet. Oh. 1 Baneling connects with 2, not too bad there. That's, HyuN got cornered there! He lost so many Zerglings to that Baneling there. Great connection for Life.
Very good for Life's defense here, but Life still yet to identify what exactly is going on. To be honest, to defend this, you need a good couple of Spine Crawlers. There's going to be 12 Roaches. Zerglings alone aren't going to be able to kill the Roaches because there's going to be Banelings in support here. It's very important for Life to identify what he's playing against. He's adding on gases to his base. He doesn't know what's going on. These links, will they start to figure this out? They run past. They see the Roaches.
Oh, there it
is.
is.
A big talus, a big scout coming out from Life.
And Life's going to have to change it up here. He's making 4, 5 Spine Crawlers. He's got to get the Spire up. He needs everything he can on the floor to try and deal with this, and in the air as well. He's made a lot of Zerglings. He was looking for a cancel or for a run by here, but he has got a lot of Roaches to deal with instead. He wasn't prepared for this.
He's going to try and buy himself some time. He's going to run around, maybe bring HyuN back, and then try to get himself some time to get these Spines and the Spire out.
That's a lot of Speedlings that HyuN has to deal with. He's making defensive Banelings. I don't think HyuN's going to turn around here, Apollo.
He's not turning around, and he's going to walk into the Spine Crawlers. He's going to pick off 1 before it even completes.
At least 1 going down. The Banelings have finished, and Life is tearing apart the natural of HyuN, but HyuN is looking for the death blow here. Lots of Roaches, more Spine Crawlers going down. The Spire not done yet. 18 drones have gone down from the Speedling attack of Life. He's into the main. He's broken through. HyuN continues the pressure. The Roaches are all still alive. The Spine Crawlers are all dead.
Mutas are on the way, though.
9 Mutas on the way. He just has to not take critical damage here before the Mutas come out. And Life will probably be okay here, but the natural... Oh, good connection with that Baneling on the Lings, but...
The Mulas are on the way. Life has completely annihilated the economy, drones, queens, everything that HyuN has back at home. All that Life has to do is stop to do and clear up these Roaches.
Yeah, I mean... He is down to 1 hatchery, but HyuN lost 30 drones from that run by. 30 drones!
Life's going to hold this. This is an absolutely wonderful defense against this attack, and it all stemmed from that scout with the Zerglings.
Absolutely. Those Zerglings seeing those last bit of Roaches, Life would have straight up died if he didn't make those Spine Crawlers up in time. I mean, the Spine Crawlers slowed down the Roaches. They didn't hit them, sure, but HyuN's going for the Spire here, but doesn't matter. The Mutas are already out on the field. 10, in fact. And GG from HyuN. Life wins himself game number 2 and ties it up 1 apiece.
Very, very impressive play from both sides there. Coming down to minimal amounts of information being gathered to then changing up play. If there was a couple of moments in that game, if either of them hadn't have scouted what was going on, the game could have just ended like that. Life held that by the skin of his teeth.
It was a hair's breadth away from going either way, that's for sure, but... Oh, man. Life might just be taking a bit of a deep breath and slowing down his heart rate a little bit after that game. My heart rate's skyrocketing right now. This is very intense StarCraft.
This is unbelievable Zerg versus Zerg here. Absolutely unbelievable. Life is a god. He's a prodigy of playing Zerg, and he really did show very, very high-level play there. Unfortunately for HyuN, was denied the 2-0. But of course, HyuN is also playing above my expectations, I think. And it kind of sounds a little bit weird for me to say that, but I thought coming into this might be a steamroll of Life just walking over HyuN, but I'm very impressed with the way that HyuN has approached this series. He knows that Life is the better player, is the world champion, and HyuN yesterday said, oh man, I'm playing Life, this is so bad for me. But, he's had a good night rest, he's came in today, and he's looking great.
I couldn't agree with you more, Paul. I completely... also expected HyuN to frankly be outclassed in the ZvZ, but each of these games so far, I mean, game 3 might be different, but these last 2 games have been incredibly close. Incredibly close. The 10 pull nearly did the damage that he needed to do, and the seconds that were needed for those Mutas to come out to hit those Roaches with the run by decision from Life.
The thing is, the run by decision was actually maybe the most beautiful part of that hold there. Because if you don't do the run by and you try to defend with just the Zerglings and Spines, the Zerglings die pretty fast to the Banelings that are coming with the attack. But what Life did was gut everything back at home. So it really didn't matter how much he lost as long as the Mutalisks were out, because there was no way HyuN was going to follow up with anything going down to 5 drones.
Yeah.
If, for example, HyuN was able to keep the drones alive and there was no counter-attack, he'd be on, let's say, 30, 35 drones at that type of attack, but Life would be on 1 base. HyuN would be on 2 with the capability of having, you know, static defense everywhere, Spore Crawlers, Queens, and then the Mutalisks really wouldn't do that much in the game. The counter-attack was the beautiful part there.
Absolutely. Even if he killed only 10 drones less or anything like that, you're absolutely right. The 2 hatcheries would have made HyuN power through, and with the Spore Crawlers and the lava that he would have had, he could have easily defended against the counter-attack with the Mutalisks and whatever was on the ground left over for Life. So without further ado, game number 3 between these 2 incredible Zergs in this incredible round of 8 at this incredible tournament. This is Rockout's HyuN. And in the bottom right of Catalina, StarTale's Life. I could gush about this kid all day long.
I mean, when you're 18 years old and have won 8 StarCraft 2 tournaments, I think anybody could.
Yeah, my God. And that's in the last 2 years as well. That's not like he was around in 2010, 2011 winning those tournaments. That's, you know, 2012 and onwards.
Yep.
So pretty incredible counter Premier tournaments. And not to mention the other majors that he's won as well. It's just...
Yep. HyuN is, you know, a very, very accomplished player as well. He's got 2 championships to his name, not 8, but 2, but has had multiple and countless top 8s, top 4 finishes. I mean, I literally don't even know the number because he's had so many. But this year's going to be a very different year for HyuN. It's potentially his last year in StarCraft as well, as he gets older and older and military service is calling. So it's a very important year for HyuN to end on a high note, especially because it's going to be a more difficult year. And if he can end on a high note, I'm sure he'd be feeling over the moon with his accomplishments in StarCraft 2.
Already with the last games, even though he's only won 1 of them, I've got renewed faith in HyuN. I feel like he's going toe-to-toe with the scariest...
Let's hope so.
With the... I mean, he is the scariest player in this bracket for me, Life. Even though I'm tipping Hero to beat him if he makes it to a final, Life is the scariest player for me. And then Life going for pull and then... Sorry, for the hatch and then the pull here, so not getting the gas. Both players looking very similar.
HyuN has got the advantage because he's able to scout what his opponent's doing very early on. This is the advantage of what he's gained being on this 3-player map. He chose the right way, unfortunately Life didn't. They both played relatively cautious with their openings. It was a 15 hatch for HyuN, 14 spawning pool. And then for Life, interestingly, was 14 hatch, 14 pull, I think it was. So both very cautious with their drone counts before throwing these down, and identical with the extractors. Overall, to summarize this, very identical openings, but HyuN does take the advantage because he's got the scouting information, because of the way that his Overlord went compared to Life's.
That's right, and Life just 1 second ahead in the build order so far, so not a whole lot to really report here in the early stages of this ZvZ. Both things are you know, both players are looking very, you know, safe, standard, not too much action in the early stages of this ZvZ. So it'll be a while before everything kicks into gear here.
Absolutely, and these 2 Zerglings going to be very important here for Life, completely in the dark. He needs to try to figure out what's going on, because for all he knows, it could be the same build that HyuN attempted in the previous one with the mass Zergling speed.
Yeah, exactly. Speedling expand completely uncommon. It definitely looked like it caught Life off guard, but luckily for him, his scouting was on point that game. The scouting actually won Life that game.
Yes, it did.
Both times he nearly died to something that if he didn't see it coming, he would have, 100%.
All right, well, Life's going to try and get some information.
Looks like too much here from HyuN. Life's going to try and circle around. Oh, does get in there with the 1 Zergling, so actually very, very lucky here to see what he can see.
Sees that 100 gas has been mined and that Zergling speed is on its way. But one thing we can note from HyuN is he delayed getting Zergling speed and actually cancelled it.
Oh.
I mean, he was delaying it and then did research it, so he did show Zergling speed to Life, but he was delaying it. And he's delaying it, and he's also, by delaying it, focusing very heavy on his economy, naturally, because when you don't, it's not like the 100 gas, with the 100 gas, it's the 100 minerals, but he's using the 100 minerals, as you can see now, dropping to pure drones. Very greedy opening here from Life, and from HyuN. I think he won't even get Zergling speed. I think he'll probably go straight to layer here with this.
Yeah, very likely. I mean, this is a good map for Mutalisks, because you do actually... you know, it's a tough third to hold with just ground units.
Yeah.
You do have the speedlings, but this is a nice placed overlord here from Life. He does see the Roach Warren go down.
HyuN gets into the main base just about and sees the lair started.
He does, yeah. So HyuN probably got a pretty good idea of what's happening here. Life as well, pretty good idea. Going up for the gases and the lair. And there's, so the 4 gases were expected here.
Just a pretty slow game from both, but lots of small details that have gone into this already.
Yeah, it looks like he's trying to go for a big Roach upgrade attack again with that extra gas, and Life going up for the quicker third.
Yeah,
Small
Life
differences here.
Life is playing like a greedy Mutalist game.
Yeah.
I think he realized that there was a lot of queens and drones out from HyuN, so he was okay to get away with no Baneling speed, for example, or no Baneling nest at all, sorry.
Ooh.
And he pokes in for a quick count here to kind of just verify what he kind of knew was happening anyway. So he's got a very fast 2-base saturated economy, and also a very fast Spire with a very fast 3rd base too. So Life has been pretty much zooming ahead of things, and we're just going to see the more traditional setup that we've seen quite commonly recently in ZvZ, Mutalisk versus the ground army.
Yeah. And we've actually seen Mutalisk versus Mutalisk a couple times in this tournament as well, which is not something I've seen a whole lot of recently in ZvZ, but starting to get back into fashion. Life heading across the map with a lot of Zerglings, looking for a 3rd hatchery cancel here. He's moving it across onto HyuN's creep, and HyuN doesn't have a whole lot on the ground yet. Pretty much just queens.
It's going to get cancelled.
Yeah. That's too much. Life trying to get into the natural, which would have been nice. There's a lot of juicy drones there, but he'll just have to deal with the hatch cancel for now.
Yeah, that's a good pick-off, though. It's almost, though, with this type of play, expected to have your hatch cancelled, so it's not the end of the world here for HyuN.
No, not really. And he's going to have a lot of powerful units. He's got Roach Speed, 1-1 on the way for him, and it definitely worked out for him in the first game. But that said, though, Life didn't go for an aggressive opening. He's gone for a very, very greedy opening. So he's going to have a Spire and a Roach Warren going down as well.
Yeah, he's going to build 10 Mutalists by the looks of it, and then switch straight into Roaches himself. We have a lot of Roaches on the way for HyuN. He does have 1-1, or will have 1-1, should I say, and Roach Speed. He has the capability to do a lot of damage.
Absolutely. And he knows about the Spire as well, thanks to that Overseer of his.
I really hope that after spending all your gas on Mutalisk here for Life, he doesn't go back to drones. He could get stung quite heavily by this Roach production that HyuN's gone for.
He could burn down his hatchery again for another cancel, and he will.
Yeah, okay, he'll definitely build units after this.
Yeah.
He knows he's so far ahead when it comes to production and lava that he doesn't need to further himself. He doesn't need to get further ahead than he already is. He's just got to build units.
HyuN actually with a very bad supply block there, making 3 Overlords now.
Oh no, that's very bad for him, especially when you're in this type of game where you need to deal damage.
And the hatchery to be cancelled again, but that doesn't matter. He's going to make units anyway, but he can't because of the supply block. HyuN just has to move across with these upgraded Roaches, and Life is already tapping them on the head with mutas of his own, and he's making a lot of Roaches as well. Life looking like he's in a beautiful spot here.
All Life has to do is defend his hatchery. That's actually the most important part. As long as the hatchery stays alive, he's going to be in a fantastic position.
Yeah, and there's a lot of Roaches here, but here come the Lifes. Here comes Life's Roaches finding his natural, and yeah, these Roaches are getting drones, they're getting a queen, but the hatchery will still live. And HyuN is just in a rough spot. There's not so much he can do.
Very difficult position here. He's behind on production. Depending on where Life wants to spend that production, is it going to be for in a fight or is it going to be for drones? And at the moment, it's looking like a fight. So he might be able to overpower HyuN because it's 3 hatcheries worth of lava injects and lava available compared to just 2. Look at the supply difference.
That's right. And HyuN, the Roach King, is going to upgrade his kingdom here and go up for a big Roach count with the upgrades and locking down the spores for the mutas. But Life could just overwhelm here.
Yeah, just think about how much free damage these Mutalisks are dealing out in the middle of the map.
Every time a Roach is on the field, on his side of the map, he will chase it down with Mutalisks and kill it 100% for free. Life has a pretty decent Roach count now. He's getting up there. I mean, the upgrades are definitely not in his favor, but look at this count. He just has a lot. I mean, the Spore Crawler is helping out, is unburrowed and not helping out against the mutas right now. It's just burrowing now. HyuN taking a lot of damage from this push from Life. Oh, the Roach is coming down for the natural. He's got the defender's advantage. Yeah, the Queens are helping out with the transfuses. The Spore's dealing with the Mutalisks, but they found a nice position here to do some damage. Life he's losing the Mutalisks to the Spore Crawler. It's a nice play Spore Crawler from HyuN, keeping him alive in this fight for now.
Spore Crawler helping out, the +1 Carapace helping out, Queens assisting in this fight, and all HyuN's got to do is hold, because if he holds, he gets to 2-2, and then he just simply outclasses what Life has.
Yeah, his units are going to be stronger. He's going to be up by 3 upgrades. He's going to have +2 armor and a higher attack upgrade as well.
And he lost his queen, remember, Life did on his 3rd base, so he had momentum at the start of this, but having lost that queen, he doesn't quite have the same production he would have normally on that 3rd, and he's had to back off, which allows HyuN to get the 2-2 upgrades. He survives that timing window where he's a little bit weak.
Yeah.
And now, HyuN is starting to be the powerful one. HyuN is building up towards a 2-2 timing himself. If he just turns this around, goes for a fight when he has 2-2, I don't think Life, even if he has more numbers, which he doesn't, by the way, can take that on.
Yeah,
Life has to think of desperate measures, counterattacks, runarounds.
He definitely didn't have a very efficient fight. That Spore Crawler that's on screen right now helped HyuN out so much against the Mutalisk. F's going up for a +2 and +1 Carapace, but HyuN's 2-2 gonna finish.
Yeah, this is nasty.
13 seconds right there. So and when HyuN's 2-2 is done, he is going to push, man. Life has a drone lead, but HyuN is only making units right now.
All right, Life needs to use the map control he has to his advantage. Look how there's no blue overlords anywhere on the map. HyuN only sees what HyuN sees on creep. Life has to do runarounds because if he buys himself enough time to get the +2 attack and the +1 Carapace, he's technically, I mean, we can see 58 drones to 47. He has a better income, which means he can build more units. If he sacrifices units and tries to run around a little bit, this could be a way to buy enough time to get these upgrades. If he doesn't decide to do that, he will purely rely on having a better defensive stance and hoping that the numbers he has, which is very similar to HyuN, can outclass these 2-2 upgrades.
Now, when you have similar numbers, you need to rely on some static defense if your opponent is outclassing you with these upgrades, and he absolutely is right now. 2-2 versus just +1 attack during his attack.
Yeah, this is HyuN's opportunity.
This is his chance to break through. Life here, he's trying to get himself a concave. Life has that high ground on the ramp advantage. He can split his roaches up a little bit more and get that big white arc. HyuN finding a nice spot, actually getting a good roach spread with 2-2, but Life has a lot of roaches behind his, and with the defender's advantage, it's not too long for him to reinforce. The queens aren't coming down just yet. A little bit surprising to see no transfusions from Life.
These 2-2 upgrades are absolutely unbelievable in this fight.
Unbelievable, as one would say.
They are. They're doing so much damage, and he's actually winning, but the problem is the roaches aren't being reinforced. He has a higher roach count, but they're all on the other sides of the map here, and this has allowed time for Life to get to +2 attack of his own and that +1 Carapace.
He made Zerglings with that attack, probably because of his gas count at the time. He's going to have a lot of Zerglings on the map with his roaches. Now, what is he going to do with these Zerglings? Looks like HyuN's going back to droning behind this.
Like, if there was no reinforcements that were allowed to enter the fight where they were waiting to be tag teamed in, HyuN would have won that overall. But unfortunately, they were it's too easy. The hatchery is giving roaches from the natural right into the fight there, made it very easy for Life to hold that position. And now it's +2 attack for Life, +1 Carapace. He's down in an armor upgrade, but he has a superior amount of units.
He does indeed, and he's pushing forward. He's got some Lings ready to try and kill this 3rd, and at least a whole bunch of drones, while his main army's pulling HyuN out of position at the front of the natural, and he's getting a couple here. He's going to get the queen at least.
And that's... is he?
Oh, actually very close. Lives on 13 hit points, my God.
Yeah, it would have been nice if he got that, really slow down the amount of production capable from that 3rd.
Yep, but not too much of a production hit there for HyuN.
All right,
he's
next
getting
move.
burrow. I was actually about to mention this when Life was attacking HyuN. I'm surprised that HyuN isn't going for that tech that he loves so much and works so well with him against Snoot.
Yeah.
Going for the tunneling claws and the burrow upgrade, and then using those roaches to go around the map and just hit several hatcheries, mineral lines at once, while getting himself in a defensive spot.
And Life is weak to that.
He is.
He doesn't have any defense anywhere. Any overseers, any spore crawlers, nothing right now.
He might actually run right into a trap. Actually, HyuN getting into a bit of a trap. HyuN's actually in a big Life concave here. He's got to reposition his roaches, and he does. There's just so many roaches here from Life. 61 versus the 54 of HyuN's, but HyuN does have the upgrade advantage and the burrow upgrade, and Life's going to leave because he doesn't have that overseer. Absolutely right.
No overseer, so he's going to heal underground.
Yep.
But I wonder how well this will work, the tunneling claws here. HyuN's going to play very similar to, Leenock and some other Zergs that are very... I think they use this a lot. He's just going to spread and send a lot of roaches in multiple different angles burrowed, and hopefully deal damage over time to wear Life down. Whereas Life chose the Baneling Nest. The Baneling Nest isn't going to be as useful in this situation. It's going to be very difficult for him to get Baneling speed and also get enough Zerglings out to help support.
It's actually not a bad attack from HyuN here, but Life manages to get in position just in time to bat away the roaches for now. He has that concave advantage again, the ramp helping him out a lot to get that surround around those roaches of HyuN. And HyuN just pure roach right now. I mean, Life's going to try and go for Baneling speed to try and hit those clusters.
If he can get to Baneling speed, it'll be good.
Yeah, this hatchery of Life in big trouble here. HyuN can get it on the way out. He has an escape path.
So they should be okay on 3 bases apiece here. I don't think anyone's going to kill each other anytime soon.
No.
But this does allow Life to get to Baneling speed and start to think about massing up the Zerglings, which he's going to do now.
Yeah.
Roach versus Roach. And it can be Roach Hydra too, but Roach versus Roach, if you can get cost-efficient amount of Banelings that come crashing in, they do a lot more damage than they're worth. And if you can burst down a lot of his Roaches and weaken them, and then take a good Roach fight with it, it's a very powerful combination which Life is trying to pull off.
Well, HyuN has been clumping his Roaches a lot, and if it's what he wants. He wants to connect with the clump here. And I don't think HyuN's aware of the Banelings, and obviously with the Hydralisks suck against Banelings. That's what. And with Baneling speed, Life's going to be very happy.
And now we can even see. Look at this. He's maxed out on Roaches, and then did the Spore Trawler trick, the Spore Crawler trick to build the 28 Zerglings that we see in production, and those are going to be Banelings. And so he's going to look for this fight. Unfortunately for HyuN, who doesn't know this is happening, is walking into the trap because you don't want really Hydralisks at this point. The ideal tech choice would be the Infestors to lock down the units to prevent the Banelings from getting their splash damage down.
I actually think HyuN had a changeling in their Apollo when he saw the Banelings being morphed.
Oh, this is very good for him because he's throwing the Infestation Pit down.
Yes, he is.
But can he get up there fast enough?
HyuN is being out-positioned here by Life at the moment. He doesn't really have a very good spot, but the Banelings are coming in and connecting with a lot of the Roaches.
So much damage.
Oh my god, the Roaches are taking giant splash damage from these Banelings. Oh jeez, he's pushing him all the way back here. HyuN's taking so many Roach damages. He's remaxing back at home, so the supply's still 200, but now look at the Roach count for Life. He's had to remake 17 Roaches, and Life is maxed on Roaches here.
Yeah, that was a beautiful fight, and we saw the power of the Banelings as they went rolling in.
The Baneling's helping out a lot, and there's not enough Hydras here to make a difference. Life actually might end the game here. He's got too many Roaches pushing through. HyuN is coming back with the reinforcement, but this is just too many, I feel. It's actually starting to even up a bit. 36 Roaches versus the 31. 30 more Roaches on the way from Life. And HyuN getting that surround with the Hydras helping out quite a bit.
The reinforcements were very slow to the fight there, which means it was a much cost-efficient fight for HyuN. If you look at the bank, HyuN has expired all of his money, but because Life was more efficient with the Baneling hits and that fight right there, he's still got money in the bank while being maxed out. HyuN is struggling to reclimb to where he was because of those 2 bad fights, and that is the difference between the 2 of them, even though HyuN was able to push Life back.
Oh my god, this ZvZ getting us out of breath, man. This is action-packed.
Yeah, he's trying to go for Hydralisks, which are good. Obviously good. They deal so much damage, but he won't have the numbers. It's 150 supply to 200. Life's last 2 fights were way too good for him.
Absolutely, those Banelings really clinched in for here. There's one Swarm Host at the back, but how much can those Locusts do as Life powers through once more? The Hydra's finding a nice position here, just spreading out just in case of Banelings, which are coming through, but they connect against Roaches here. They didn't find the Hydras. The Hydra's helping out for HyuN, but there's just too much from Life, it seems. He has the Overseer of the Swarm Host as well, and Life is going to push through and get himself a 2-1 lead here. He's got the Roach Warren. It's going to go down. HyuN is a down 100 supply. This is the World Champions game right here. He's going to take a 2-1 lead any second here. HyuN just pushing. He's trying to do what he can, but GG, too much here. Life takes it 2-1 so far.
Very impressive here from Life in game number 3. Everything he did right. He did everything right there. And he's now 1 game away from moving on to the semi-finals, where he would face off against Parting in a semi-final. I think a lot of people would like to see. But HyuN going toe-to-toe there, but in the last couple of engagements was a couple of steps behind Life. Didn't realize the Banelings were being played until way too late there. Couldn't capitalize on his 2-2 timing. Life well positioned, well defensed to get his own upgrades to equalize the fight. Unfortunately there, especially in that type of game, that type of game can be, as a professional player for HyuN, can be a little bit frustrating, because it wasn't a game that Life won because he had a better strategy or a better build or something very simple that you can look at and go, oh, okay, I just really need to twist this little strategy here, twist this little thing at the front to be able to change my game up so I can move on to the next part easily. But it was just a complete 25-minute game there where Life outplayed him.
Yeah, he seemed to have an answer at every single turn there. I mean, HyuN kept trying to get damage done. I mean, HyuN was barely on Life's half of the map. He came and he tried to hit that third, and Life was already always in position with his Roaches. He read HyuN like a book.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, a lot of that had to do with HyuN's Overlord spread. The Mutalisk denied all of that. Life had map control. He had the vision. He had the only disadvantage he had was the upgrades for quite a while, but HyuN couldn't capitalize on that. He had a 3 upgrade lead. He had +2 Carapace and +2 attack against just +1 attack from Life, and he still just couldn't push through. That defender's advantage is so important in Zerg vs. Zerg when your rally distance is that much closer. Beautiful mouse, by the way. When your rally distance is that much closer to be able to defend, you reinforce so much easier. Yeah, well, that made the difference here for the player on the right, and the player on the left here needs to win 2 maps in a row if he wants to get into the round of 4. And Life just needs to win 1. Let's introduce here on the new map, Expedition Lost. In the bottom left from Team Rocket, this is HyuN.
The last time he was in a round of 8 was the Intel Extreme Masters New York 2013. The Spider HyuN moments, remember those when he dressed up as Spider-Man? Yeah. That was the last time he reached the top 8 at the Intel Extreme Masters, a very long time ago.
Quite a while between drinks, but this player not far off from his last win. This is StarTale's Life.
And that tournament, that very tournament where HyuN was Spider HyuN, where he got that top 8, Life won.
Yes, he did.
Against Naniwar in the finals, 4-2. Won his first Intel Extreme Masters championship there, and he is looking for a second at this tournament.
Absolutely right, and my God, I mean that was a queen. The last time these guys played was a queen sweep. It was 4-0 Life, and that's a rough way to go out in a game with that, in a best of 7 like that. You don't want to lose 4-0. That's just not a good feeling. HyuN already, even though he's only won 1 game so far in the series, looks better than I've ever seen him look against a player of this caliber. I mean, sure, he's lost the last 2, but you got to give it to him. This is not just a Zerg that you can just, you know, that you would expect HyuN to go toe-to-toe with any day of the week. This is Life we're talking about. HyuN, going to, I keep saying it, but it just means a lot to me. Like as a fan of StarCraft and a fan of Zerg, HyuN is really impressing me today.
And he needs to impress, and he needs to get results in this tournament. He's not qualified for the World Championship.
No.
You know, DreamHacks are a long way from happening now. He needs the points. He needs the WCS points to be able to compete and try to, you know, achieve a BlizzCon again, the top 16 in the WCS rankings. But looking at these builds, we saw 15 spawn and pull coming out from HyuN, followed by a fast gas again, the same build he used on Overgrowth, into the hatchery here. So we could see him try on this map because it is relatively small. The distance isn't that big between the both of them, and Zergling's obviously very fast with Zergling speed, can rush over there. He may try the same strategy again against Life, who so far has opened up 15 spawn and pull into the hatchery and is without gas for the time being.
Completely gasless, so it does look like he wants to try and get up to that fast 3rd hatchery here, which is very, very greedy. And I mean, I've talked about it with the new maps. Taking a 3rd hatchery and holding a 3rd hatchery on this map is quite difficult.
Life is trying to poke in here. He's got to be careful. He wants to get some more information, but he does back off with his Overlord. There is a Queen on the way for HyuN, so the Overlord backs off. But these 2 Zerglings are going to be the units that could potentially scout out HyuN. And remember, on that map Overgrowth, it was scouting from Life that tipped him off, which allowed him to pull off the defense.
Safe to Lope will never be caught.
Never be caught. Trust me, I've tried.
That's right.
So HyuN is and must not allow these Lings inside. If they see the Zergling speed already researching, game over. Or not game over, but the plan is over. It's spoiled.
Yeah. So the Lings coming and touching up this hatchery here. They want that opening, obviously. The Queen coming down to help out, and Life is going to...
No, he's not getting in. He's not getting in. And already is very suspicious that something like this could be happening. But so far, no defensive tool set up from Life. He only has Queens. The Lings are starting. This is a serious attack from HyuN. His tournament life depends on it. If this doesn't work, he will be eliminated in the round of 8, and unfortunately will have to go home like we saw Classic go just a little bit before. 18 Lings are on the way. A spine crawl has been built, but there is no wall. He can wall the ramp in between the main and natural, sure.
Yeah, he can.
And here we go. For the first time Life sees the Zerglings. He needs to start to think about how he's going to defend this.
He's making as much as he can, and he's using every bit of his lava to get some Zerglings here. He's making a spine crawler. He has 3 Queens, which is going to be very helpful. But
no energy for transfuses, no. So they will go down pretty fast.
They will, and they're blocking the ramp. All 3 of them here. The drone's being pulled. They're going to try and soak up some of the Lings. The spine crawler evaporates without even hitting once. And the Lings here.
18 Lings on the way for Life.
Oh boy. Life's got a lot of lings on the way. HyuN getting into the main with a lot of Z speedlings here. He's running circles around these slow lings, and he's going to look for a lot of drone kills here.
And HyuN already realizing this isn't going to work. He's 10 drones behind, by the way. He is droning up behind this, but he needs to deal some form of damage.
He hasn't killed any queens or anything.
He hasn't done anything.
He's only been engaging with Zerglings here, and the queens are tapping him apart, taking damage here. Life is supply block, but not a big deal at this stage. He's...
Notice how he's pinpointing drones now. He's building a lot of drones behind this, but he's pinpointing drones to be able to overtake and catch up himself.
And every time he walks past these 4 queens, he takes a lot of damage on the Zerglings. He gets 2 here so far. Looking for that third, not quite yet. Life moving across the map. HyuN, no Banling nest to speak of. Not a whole lot of defense at all.
No, and there's actually a lot of Zerglings on his way. 17 Zerglings and no defense. Did he even see them? Has he even seen them?
I don't even think he has. His Overlord's on in position. Apollo, he only just sees them now. The Zerglings of Life are coming up into his ramp, and he only has 2 queens. He doesn't have any units.
He didn't see them.
He's only just started making links now. 8 links on the way, and it's too late. Life is going to kill 2 queens and a lot of drones here.
I can't believe he didn't see them. There is Overlords through the middle of the map. He was so concentrated and focused on pinpointing where the drones are and picking them off that he simply didn't see this coming over.
Oh my God, and what a way to get into this game number 3 with Life killing 10 more drones, and he was already 10 drones behind this attack even started. Life taking an unprecedented lead in this game.
HyuN was doing everything perfectly until he didn't see that coming. He did equalize eventually the drone lead, and then they just got wiped out straight away. 10 drones lost, Life closed that, and all of a sudden, it is now 41 drones to 36 for HyuN. He has managed to keep up. He managed to keep that third down, but I can't believe he just let that attack happen so easily.
Yeah, well, Life took he didn't go straight through the guts. He didn't go past the Overlord, so he circled around there. Smart decision from
Life! He's going again!
Oh,
I think he's going to attack again.
And with Banelings this time as well. 22 Zerglings.
So he is showing at the front door here, whether HyuN has seen it or not. I don't think HyuN has seen it. He's showing here that there is a lot that shows a long game here, but if he just goes across the map with all these Zerglings that he's built.
And he's looking like he's taking a third as well. He sent a drone up there to look like he's taking a third. He's pulling a fast one, Apollo, this cheeky bugger.
This cheeky guy. I can't believe, right now, HyuN has 1 Zergling with 8 on the way, and now he's like, no!
Oh no! Oh no! And they're gonna be Banelings as well.
He's been tricked.
He's dropping Panic Spines.
His structures aren't even a wall here that Legends highlights, and he can't make a wall to save his natural. And here comes the Zerglings. There's a Banling nest complete as well. Life has tricked HyuN. And oh boy, is this going to be difficult to stop.
Oh yeah, I mean, HyuN's getting Banelings of his own. He's got 2 on the way, but is it going to be too late? The Queens go down again. The drones are all in big trouble. 5 down, and the Banelings from Life are going to join the fight here. 2 of these Banelings of HyuN need to get the connections to their Life. Oh, they're not trading well at all, and Life has just got way too much here. He's going to go to the round of 4 here, Apollo.
And he will move on to the semi-finals where Parting will be waiting to play tomorrow.
GG, the world champion, as everyone expected, cuts through HyuN, slices him straight through the middle here. And he's going to go to the semi-finals for tomorrow's games, and going to be pushing for that Intel Extreme Masters trophy for Taipei.
Life walking over to his opponent here, just saying, good game. Life is our next semi-finalist, our second. An excellent performance from Life. Unfortunately, HyuN now finishes top 8 here. It's his second top 8. It's been a long time since the last one, but hopefully we'll see more of him this year, but he's now eliminated from the Intel Extreme Masters.
And hats off to this guy, by the way, on camera right now for putting up such a great fight against a player that I would say 99% of the community would have assumed to get crushed by Life here.
So he put up a fight. He put up a fight, but there was a couple of mistakes that he made in that last game especially, which cost him the game, which really cost him the game. Unfortunately for him there, but it's a massive thing here for Life going through. Life versus Parting. What else can you say? That is going to be such a game tomorrow. Yeah.
Who will be the most smug after that one? Who's going to be throwing up the gang signs after that best of 5? But anyway, that's our first ZvZ done, and we're going to cross over to Paul at the desk.
Thank you very much, Lee. Yes, thank you to both of our commentators there, bringing us the action from our second game of the day, Maynard and Apollo. Back on the desk right now with Todd and Kalaris, as Susie's gone off to find the victor. What do you make of that then? I think you actually said 3-1, didn't you?
I didn't say. I don't think I said a particular score, but it would have gone around that way.
Perfectly predicted. We said.
Could have just gone with it.
Could have done, couldn't he?
Yes, I did.
But 3-1. Was that a fair reflection of the game in the way that both players played, or do you feel that maybe Life made a bit too many mistakes?
No, I think that's fair reflection. The game number 1 that did end up going Hyun's way, in my opinion, when something like that happens, well, I think a lot of people's opinion, when something like that happens and you fail something as aggressive as that, then you're going to have a really, really hard time getting back to things. Once HyuN started up his 1-1 upgrades, all you have to do is push out the creep as aggressively as he did, get over there and do big, big killing damage. So he capitalized on Life's mistake there. If Life hadn't chose to do something as aggressive in game number 1, I think he probably could have been a 3-0 even.
Okay. And then in map 2, Todd, he showed us what he's capable of, some really high-level play.
Yeah, some very good crisis management, actually, much better than HyuN's, definitely. I mean, this is what we expected, and, you know, a lot of good reactions, be it with both, I guess, counter-attacking and defending at the same time, just much better than HyuN.
Yeah, map 3, well, we've had quite a discussion about map 3, because it was I'm still not entirely sure whether he was just reacting to the way that HyuN played or whether he actually had that kind of build in mind and it was just the way that it went. But whatever HyuN did, it seemed Life had the perfect counter for it. I'll build mass roaches, right? Well, I'll go mass roaches then, and well, I'll throw some banes in there, and then you'll get screwed over by that. Everything, he was almost one step ahead of him. You made the comment actually in map 2 while we were watching that HyuN seemed to be using historic meta. For want of a better phrase.
That's what he's been doing for a long time. Say even things as like game 2, like pushing with 1-1 roaches. It's very old. It's something that stood the test of time in ZvZ.
There's an age joke coming in. I can feel it.
I'm trying to refrain as much as possible.
I was waiting for it.
I was waiting for it. I'll let that one slide. But,
all right. Pretty kind of you.
I know. I normally do, but it's okay. But I think overall, if you go to game 3, as you were speaking about, for example, for me, it feels as if the majority of the game was Life dictating the game. When you open up a Mutalisk build like that in ZvZ, and you seize control of the middle of the map, you push all the overlords away, you have more options available to you than your opposing player does, because HyuN is basically playing a lot in the dark and doesn't really know too much about what's happening in the middle of the map. So him pushing out into the middle with the roaches, despite having, you know, potentially really good windows, he's a little bit apprehensive because he doesn't know what's going on everywhere else.
Sure. Okay. Well, let's find out from our Victor how he feels about a 3-1 victory, because he's with Susie on the stage right now.
Okay, here I am with our world champion. This is Life. Life, congratulations. How do you feel right now?
일단 첫 번째 판에서 제가 전략 빌드를 준비했는데 막혀서 조금 당황도 많이 했는데 그래도 예상대로 이긴 것 같아서 좋아요.
Well, he said the first game he had prepared a build, but it was really well defended, and so he was a little upset about that, but he was expecting to win this, so he's feeling pretty good. Now, you know what, then he already talked about game 1. We're going to go straight into game 3. Now, game 3 was a little more interesting, and just given the back and forth of you and HyuN, were you building things in, were you kind of... Did you plan your build, or were you just doing it because he was doing it and trying to do it better?
네.
네가 생각해온 빌드를 가져온 건지 아니면은 작가님 하는 걸 잘 맞춰서?
생각해온 빌드는 아니고 원래 저그전은 그냥 언제나 즉흥적으로 해가지고 그냥 즉흥적으로 했어요.
He said actually he doesn't really plan builds for Zerg because, you know, it's Zerg, and so yeah, he just kind of went with the flow and decided to play the game, and that's how it played out. All right, now speaking of HyuN, some of the casters on the desk were saying how he seems to be playing in a more previous meta, like he hasn't really caught up to where you are. Do you feel that same way?
네. 저그전은 원래 빌드가 하도 많아가지고 언제나 써도 세기 때문에 그래도 작년에 썼던 건지 썼었어도 그냥 똑같이 센 것 같아요, 쓰기에는.
Okay, he says, you know, when it's a ZvZ, there's so many different builds anyway, and so whether it's a build he used last year or not, they're all really strong, and so he didn't think that it really mattered all that much. All right, next up, you're playing Parting. And now Parting said, you or HyuN, easy peasy, you're all noobs. How do you feel about this?
파팅형이 약간 운 좋게 올라와서 약간 신난 것 같은데 제가 아무 말도 못하게 그냥 찡소리 못하게 이기겠습니다.
He said, I think Parting got really lucky and won his matchup, and he's kind of on a high right now. So I want to kill that high, and I'm going to make sure I win and be able to get him down. 뭐 영어로 한마디 하고 싶은 건 없어?
파팅 very easy.
Parting's very easy. So there we go. We've got the world champion, talking trash, and we got Parting ready for this game. So I'm excited to see what the next one's going to hold. Back to you, Paul.
Yes, thank you very much, Susie there. Life giving us a bit of smack talk as well. We always like that a bit as well. Interesting that those two match up now in the semi-finals, because we've got one man who won the Battle.net World Championship as it was the WCS in 2012. And another man who won the WCS at BlizzCon in 2014. They're going to go head-to-head in the semi-finals. It's I don't know how they say it in France. Maybe you can give us a better translation than his French from yesterday.
Probably.
But a lip-smackingly good semi-final.
Demi-finale delicious, a delicious one. I don't know. That's all I could think of on this one. And by the way, who could have guessed this will be our semi-final?
Well, I think
wonder.
you might have. I think
right.
you may have guessed.
Yeah,
you did. Yeah, I still say that this upper part of the bracket was the easier one to predict, and we all said Parting. Even I said Parting life.
Yeah, good job, Todd. Well done. Really, really good stuff there.
The key is how can you figure out what goes on next, because the next two games are going to be even tougher. But hold that thought, because we won't go there just yet. Thank you very much, gents. We're going to take a very quick break. And we will be back with our third quarterfinal of the day very shortly. It's a fantastic day here at the Intel Extreme Masters in Taipei, and it's only going to get better from here on in. The next game is our current reigning champion at the Intel Extreme Masters, the most successful man at the Intel Extreme Masters, with 3 previous titles, all of them Premier titles of his own, the only 3 he's ever won. CJ enters Hero, goes up against a virgin in Intel Extreme Masters terms, a man who has never appeared here before, but is here for one thing only, and that's the title. It's Murray. We'll see you after the break.